Everyone, this is Avi Harkishan from AH Charts. Let's analyze some charts here on what I think will be happening going forward and what I'm seeing on the charts, basically. So I just finished posting the charts for tonight. Posted all the ETFs, the stocks that we're analyzing, the indices, and the futures analysis, and also the cryptos. So I just finished posting that. So now let's move on to looking at what's really going on in the chart. First thing we're going to do is we're going to look at SPY. Let me just pull this over for a quick sec. So today, let's look at the daily chart for SPY, first of all. So I'm looking at SPY here. You have within this range, I have lots of resistance within this range here from 597, 600, 609, 613, 23. That's 613 level. So this here is my box of resistance, or what I call the sell box, meaning be careful. This is a spot here where you want to be very cautious if you're going long. On the daily chart, I'm starting to see, well, you can see it here. If you zoom in a little bit, if we're going to use a volume price analysis. So currently we're in this rising wedge kind of pattern here that you're seeing, or this kind of uptrend that you have. Now, if you're looking at volume price analysis, you're starting to see it here where you're seeing some rejections. Then you're moving up, and here today, higher average volume pretty much on the daily close. You're starting to see some sort of distribution at the top there if you're looking solely at volume price analysis within this resistance zone, because then you have the high here. You have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. You had your ABC sell off, and now you're in an entire wave one again. But within this wave one, you will have a 5 wave impulse move. So you are within this range that you're not range pretty much, but this channel that you're going up here with, that you're moving up. And you have this candle today selling with pretty much an increased volume, same as today's. And if I'm to look at that, that's a warning sign for me that, hey, be careful. There are probably some distribution going on top here. It doesn't mean that the price can't keep moving up more, but I would be cautious, and I don't want to be somebody else's liquidity. If you're looking at, let me just pull up here, you're looking at the waves, the Elliott wave forecast, we're looking at some top at around 610. But at least a $600 range. You're looking at selling towards a 580, back up to 610, and then you're gonna have your ABC retracement going down. Talked about this yesterday as well. So let's take a look at this chart right here. Let's look at the daily chart. So you're looking at, on the volume profile, lots of volume traded within this range. And we're sitting right on top of the highest volume that was traded within this range in SPY. You saw MACD starting to cross. That doesn't necessarily mean that, hey, the price is going to pull back right away. But you can still see that 615 price. You can still see SPY move up towards that 615 price right up here. So it doesn't necessarily mean, but if you're looking at this candle with the volume again, I'm starting to see some distribution on top here within that range. I'm starting to see it, and you don't want to be, as I said, you don't want to be anybody's liquidity. So I will be very cautious here. I do have a target of around 615-ish if we move up a little bit, and then probably pull back to complete that target. But what I'm looking for price to start closing beneath this 586 level, or right below this 589, somewhere around here. I'm looking to see price pull back on heavy volume. So today we got a little bit of heavy volume over here. That's what I'm pretty much looking at. So just be cautious. As you can see, high volume right here. You're seeing the volume kicking in. So I'm cautious with SPY on top here. That doesn't mean a SPY can't move up. I do have a 615 target in SPY. If it could hold this $600 level, then you have that 609 and 613 level. For QQQ, same thing pretty much with the overall indexes. I have the sell box here, which is saying expect resistance on top of this level here. You have resistance on top here. You have sell volume. You can see the volume increasing here. So you do have some sell volume here. So I'm expecting some sort of reaction to the downside once we get up here. But you can still see a push to the upside towards that 540. But I will. This is where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit on my hands a little bit. If I have to scalp this, I will scalp it. But this is not really something I wanna swing long position into within these range here. You gotta be very careful. There's lots of uncertainties heading back into the market again. So for QQQ, in terms of the, let's look at the wave count here. You're seeing a wave count. You're seeing some upside towards that 530-ish area, then some downside and back up to 540. So you could possibly see that happen. Going into the market, tomorrow is calling for some upside maybe. But you're still within sell side of distribution range here. So be cautious with that. Let's look at, let me see if I could just pull up the 4 hours or so. So it's pretty much the same thing as we see with SPY as well. Increased volume on top here within a supply resistance zone. You see it here as well. So just be cautious within that range. Pretty much the same thing with IWM. You're right below that 200 EMA over here. You can still see price move up a little bit more, if anything, get rejected somewhere around that 216 area. I think you'll probably get some rejections, if anything. So I'll be very cautious within that level right there. So just be careful within these levels. These are levels I want you guys to be careful with. If you want to scalp it, fine, you can scalp it, no problem. But again, just be cautious. I'll just probably put a line right over here, 220 as again, where if anything you can see some upside, but we're at that level of resistance, so I would be very cautious. Let's see if we can look at SPACs. Same thing with SPACs pretty much. SPACs is gonna follow SPY. You kind of broke out of this level I have here, kind of retested it today. So you can see some upside, but again, be careful within this level here. Now let's look at individual tickers, matter of fact. Let's look at Apple. Apple Daily. Apple is in a rising wedge. You have your downtrend here, which I expect to see some sort of resistance. You're within a supply zone for Apple at 209, 215, and you broke below. You have some sort of retest support that I have here. So you had that retest support as you broke down. You have another potential support here. So on today's selling on Apple, you saw a little bit of increase in volume with the overall market. Now, in terms of the wave count for Apple, it's calling for a bit of more upside tomorrow at that 206 level. So it's looking for a bit more upside towards 204. So Apple has not completed its wave 1. So the count we're looking for is around 228-ish, which would take Apple up towards that, maybe I would say 225 or so. If you're to see more upside in Apple, I would say you're probably going to get up to that 205. If you have to, then you get that rejection, personally speaking. But I would still be careful with this over here, because this selling, you have a rejection, then you have an increase volume with this candle. So be careful, because then you could start coming back down to retest this 180 level as you broke out. You kind of have this, let me put this up here. You kind of break down here, then you have that like kind of retest after you broke down. Let me show you what that's like. You broke down, you retest, and then you can see that other break for an ABC. So I would watch out for this as well if Apple cannot hold these levels here. But if you want to, for you to see more upside, you have to start breaking above these levels here, these 209, 215 if you want to see 205. But I would be cautious with Apple here, especially with some selling happening here. So we could see a potential downside in Apple as well, though Elliott Wave is calling for upside. Elliott Wave could be right, but just want to be cautious with levels because levels are very key. They're important. Let's look at, let me see. Let's look at BABA for a moment. So here we have BABA. BABA has completed its wave 1, 2, and now it's in wave 3 to the upside. It's very much possible BABA has completed its wave 1 here. It's microwave 1 to the upside, and you have a gap that needs to get filled here in BABA. So it's possible that you do something like this, maybe tomorrow, and you fill this gap and continue moving back up for BABA. I was long BABA. I sold maybe 80% of my position. I'm waiting for this gap to get filled to reload on my position on BABA. This you can see something like this going into maybe tomorrow, so a little bit upside, and then probably that sell off to complete that wave 1, 2, and 3 within a macro wave 3. So BABA is buy the dip at the moment, unless something changed in BABA. Let's move on to, let's just see Google. Let's just look at the wave count for BABA for a second. The wave count for BABA that we have is okay. So we have a little bit of upside. We have some downside towards our 116, which is a gap filling back up again. So tomorrow we're looking for a little bit of upside on BABA, and then back down to that 217 area. Yeah, right here, there's a gap. Possibly we fill that gap and then we start pushing back up again towards that 140, 130, 140 range. We're looking for BABA. So I am long BABA. Sold 80% of my position. Waiting currently to reload on more here, probably calls, maybe options as well too. Call options and possibly adding more shares to my position on BABA. So I'm just waiting for this level to get hit. So most of trading is waiting. Gotta have patience. You see setup, you wait for it, and you take a position. You have your stop. You know what you're risking. All right. Let's look at Google. So for Google's a bit technical. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave. We're possibly going to see a bit more downside. Not sure, but if anything, you got to get above these level here to 170, 173 level for Google. If not, you're going to have like an A, a B, and you're going to see that C to the downside again. One more. So let me see what the wave count is showing for Google. So Google wave count, you're still seeing the upside towards that 176 area, then back down to that 160. It's calling for. Okay. Possibly upside tomorrow to 174 or so. Yeah. So you can see something where you move up a little bit more towards that 173, then you start pushing down again towards that 160, as I just told you guys. Let me just remove that. So again, I would be looking for something along the line of maybe this on BABA, and not BABA but Google, and maybe a pushback down to the downside here. That is something I will be looking for on Google. So watch out for that, guys. Okay, let's take a look at maybe NVDA. Oh, let's look at American Airline. American Airline. So this here, it's a bit technical with American Airline. I see some upside because we are in wave 5 for American Airline, but it's kind of struggling here at the moment. And we have this rising wedge. I'm curious if we broke down from rising wedge. I'm wondering if we retest this level here, because then you can have this level retested here, and you can still continue to the upside with wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to complete this third wave. You can still see this with American Airlines. We'll just have to shift everything over. Shift everything over here. And you can still see something like this play out. So we do have a little bit of upside potential here for American Airlines, which is about a 9% upside, I think. So you can see something like this play out, because this here is the invalidation level. Unless it breaks this level here, it's not invalidated. So we can still see this play out here on American Airlines. Moving a bit slower than I wanted to move. But yeah, that's American Airlines. Still see some upside there. Let's take a look at, let's see what else we're supposed to take a look at. NVDA. Let's look at NVDA for a quick sec. So what I have in NVIDIA here, I have wave 5 ending somewhere here. Let's go back to American Airlines for a second. Let's just check the wave count just to verify LA wave forecast. Okay, we have some upside. Yep, so we have some upside, a little bit left for that. And then we down and then back up again. So I'm waiting to probably sell on top here, because I currently have calls on American Airlines. So I'm looking to sell those calls on top here. Probably jump back into the bottom once we come back down. And this is going to be a nice little move to the upside there. So that's the plan right now. So it's just sitting and waiting for that pullback to happen on American Airlines as well, to go long again. And let's go to, I think we're talking about NVIDIA next. So NVIDIA kind of complicated here, because you have the wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. However, we have an alternative 3, 4, and 5. What that means is that this could be a 3, and this could be a 4, and we're in that 5th wave. Don't entirely know if that's what it is, but that's an alternate count that we have. If not, this here is your wave 5. And what you're doing now is you're having your ABC correction. It's going to be A, your B, and your C to the downside here. I'm not entirely sure, because if you break above this level, so tomorrow what we're going to be watching for, you're in that resistance level 148. What you're watching for tomorrow is either a break of this level here, that 144 to the upside to 148. You're watching for that level. And if you're going to fill that wave 5, and then if that's the case, then you're going to start having your A, B, and C. So that's the plan for tomorrow. Keep NVIDIA on your radar. See what's going on within this level here. If we start breaking beneath here, just look for any rejections on 140, 136 for short side to 123 for NVIDIA. Let's see the wave count for NVIDIA, matter of fact. So wave count for NVIDIA, we have some upside to 148, then down to 136. So 148, then back down to 136. So their LE wave is calling, okay, I think they're calling this possibly a wave 3 on top here. They still think wave 3 is in, and we're going to have wave 4 and 5. We'll see, but we're within this range here, and I don't want to be going long within this range, because that's a sell zone, so don't want to go long. And what you want to notice as well, we have bearish divergence, MACD bearish divergence on NVIDIA, on the RSI, and the MACD. This is something I posted as well regarding Tesla recently, and I talked about the bearish divergences in both of them. And what you're looking for now is any kind of double top here with hard rejections. So you do have that double top. Whenever you're in this range, you're looking for a double top and within wave 5, and you're looking for any divergences forming to start a sell-off. So we're going to look for any kind of sell-off tomorrow, or upside, then rejection for sell-off tomorrow on NVIDIA. Let's look at Tesla. So on Tesla, you have this range here. Let me see. Let me see if I can update this. Give me a sec, guys. All right, let's take a look at Tesla. So before we take a look at Tesla, let's go to Discord. Let's look at Tesla analysis from yesterday. I talked about Tesla analysis from yesterday. Okay, here it is. I was keeping the Discord updated today. What's going on? I talked about the two different wave counts that I see and what I'm really looking at for Tesla in the 2 hours and the 4 hours. So I talked about that 313 target if Tesla failed to hold that 320. And what I was watching for is any hold above 322 to 331 for more upside. And if we cannot do that, then you're looking at that 312 target. Below that 312 target, you're looking to fill, I think I put it somewhere else. Okay, here it is. Between 312 to 392. That was the target for Tesla. And I talked about the bearishness in Tesla. So I was expecting something like this and a sell-off to fill that gap yesterday. This was what I saw happening in Tesla. Because if you look here, we had ascending broadening wedge, which is bearish. So I was expecting that downside today, which was June 5th. Thursday, June 5th. That was on the 2-hour time frame. And on the 4-hour time frame, I said expect a downside as well, still towards that 311, 299 area. So at least I expect this gap to get filled. We went lower than I expected it to go, but we still filled that gap that I talked about yesterday, and the other gap was at 290 to 291 area. So we filled those gap. For today, for tomorrow, what I'm looking at right now for Tesla is that Tesla, as you have the wave 1 here, Tesla bounced right off of this gap that it filled. It filled this gap and it bounced right off the gap. And here is where wave 1 pretty much started on Tesla. And if you take your fib tools, Tesla bounced right off the 618, the 273, came right on the 618, and it just bounced off of it. So this could be an ABC pattern playing out, but I want to see what Tesla does tomorrow at this $300 level, this 311 to 299, because if Tesla likes to have a 5 wave to the downside, even if it's an ABC pattern. So if not, you can see Tesla do something like this tomorrow. You have your wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see a 5th wave to the downside over here towards that 250 area again tomorrow. So be cautious of this because it's still a possibility with Tesla. You'll see some kind of reaction within this $300 level. I'm not sure where it's trading at, but I expect to see some upside, a little upside, and then maybe a little bit of rejection here at that $300 level or so. And if you look at the 1 hour for Tesla that I was looking at, big volume increase here with the hammer candle at the bottom. If you look at that, that's pretty much saying buyers are stepping in. You look at the 30 minutes, you have the same thing, a hammer candle here, buyers are stepping in. Inverted hammer at the bottom, those are both bullish candles, so you're expecting to see buyers step in at the bottom here at this level here where you're seeing this hammer and inverted hammer. On the volume price analysis, we're looking at the 15 minutes chart, and you're seeing the same thing here again, right over here. Big volume, buyers stepped in after fill this gap, hit the 618, and you saw that retracement, the upside retracement, never fill this gap. It never break this low. So if you're using let's use a wave count on Elliott wave, expect wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I would expect something like maybe this upside here towards the 299, maybe back down, back up to that 300. So I think you can get something along that line towards that 300 tomorrow as a possible wave 4. And what you're looking for is to see whether or not the bottom is in, and then you're gonna probably get that that sell, that ABC, and you want to see somewhere along this level here. Hold tomorrow, this 618. You want to see that level hold tomorrow, that 618, which is 284 to 279 if you get that retracement. If you break this 273 level, you are having a fifth wave to the downside that I talked about. And that fifth wave to the downside is going to take Tesla down to around that 254 area, 250. That's what you're going to see. So be cautious if you see a little bit of upside tomorrow pump. Be cautious. It doesn't mean it can't keep moving up. It certainly can. But be cautious because you might get something like this on a micro time frame. So you probably want to wait for that retester. So tomorrow, if you want to go long and just see what happens here, because that you're going to just minimize your risk that you're taking for a bigger reward. Let's see what the wave count is saying for Elliott wave on Tesla. Okay. So it's looking for some downside to 260 tomorrow. All right. And then back up to 300 and back down to 220. Yeah, so that's an ABC level again. So that's something I was looking at. Fifth wave to the downside, maybe that 250, 260 area that they're talking about. Show you what that looks like. And that's this here. Came back, retest this level here. So you can come back down still if you have a fifth wave somewhere at the bottom here. Retest this level. And if anything, there is still a demand zone here at the bottom here. You could always come back, but don't know. But if you do that and do this, then you're looking for some upside, maybe towards that 317 areas, and maybe a C wave. I don't know. I don't know about that, but let's see what happens tomorrow. Whether or not we could hold this level here for Tesla, this 315. If we're gonna create a new low, if we're gonna create a new low, obviously we're coming back lower. But right now, still bearish. Still a bit bearish here, based on the volume. High volume. Still think we could come down lower. So yeah, I would be cautious still with Tesla. I don't think it's out of the woods yet. We do have one of the things I'm cautious with on Tesla is that we have this sell-off. However, the overall market with SPY that we talked about, they're at the top and they haven't had their sell yet. And I think distribution is happening at the top here. And what makes me a bit cautious here with Tesla, the bottom is in, is that if the indexes have not had their distribution yet to the downside, and Tesla started its distribution now, what happens when the indexes like SPY and QQ started their distribution? Then I'm a bit cautious to say, okay, maybe SPY will come lower, and what I'm looking for as well on SPY is whether or not we're having a bigger A, B, and a C wave to the bottom. Yeah, it's just a possibility as well. Let's look at the weekly. So we have the weekly here. MACD is like kind of curling down a little bit. Okay, MACD is curling down a little bit. So yeah, so it's not out of woods yet. So let's see what's gonna happen tomorrow, but do expect a bit of upside and maybe some downside, a bit of upside towards that 300 or so, and maybe a little bit of downside as I talked about on this wave count here. So let's see if we have that. So be cautious again. Don't rush to go long. Be careful. All right, let's see. All right, let's see what it's doing after hours. All right. Okay, so we have a 1, 2, 3, maybe a 4 and a 5 wave, or you get a rejection here and you come back down. All right, so you hit that 300 already that we talked about. So you're right at that $300 area right there. Okay, cool. That's what I have for tomorrow. Hopefully that was helpful. Be cautious going into the market. We're trading in supply zones, resistance zones. Be careful, okay? All right, guys. Hopefully that was helpful. Have a wonderful day and speak with you tomorrow. Later. Bye.